Good morning and welcome back to another episode of the Panther Sports Zone. I'm here with my host. I'm David Smith.
I'm Zach Collins.
Good to see you, boy. It's been a minute. It's been a month and some change. We've seen it all. We ran through the Super Bowl, Grammys, some snubs. Asked for Grammy, best rap album of the year.
Negative.
Positive.
Victory lap.
No.
Yes.
No.
It's motivational music. Nipsey makes music for people like us that do sports shows. Like, think about it.
So does Travis Scott, so does Drake, so does Meek Mill, so does everybody.
Drake, so you gonna play a sport and listen to Drake before the game?
Yeah. You ever heard You in the Six? 6 p.m. in New York?
You talking about songs he's writing to his mama? I'm sorry, I'm not talking to my mama before the game.
What?
No.
You playing for your mom.
But I'm not calling my mama before the game.
All right.
That's beyond the point.
It's me and my mama. Anyways, we'll get back off that. On to the PV sports news last weekend. The men's basketball team and women's basketball team, they faced TSU. Unfortunately, they both came out with a loss. Late losses at that. Tough losses. But that doesn't change the standings of where we stand. Men's is number 1, and the girls is number 2, right behind Southern. Unfortunately, the men's had a 10-game win streak.
It finally got snapped.
Taken
away from that, I would say watching the streak, seeing them win, the way they was able to pull out victories, my biggest thing was watching the game and understanding nobody was getting rebounds. It was not a game that I watched where we would get second chance points. That's why it would be close games with somebody. The next game we play is Jackson State. With Jackson State, the score was like 58-55. And we shouldn't be in games with that type of team with somebody in the middle, like lower level of the conference. I feel like that game shouldn't be close, but we were getting bodied. Our play, we don't have a legitimate big man outside of Iowa, but he doesn't. I wouldn't.
You won't call him big. He's like a 4, mix between a 4 and a 5.
If he was at a bigger school, he'll be like
a 4.
Yeah, he'll be a 4. He wouldn't be down there on the block, and you could tell by the way he plays. So that leads for our guards and stuff. Like he always gets 10+ rebounds whenever he gets a double-double. Right now he has like 6 double-doubles in conference play, and they're all from rebounds. So that's my biggest issue. That was a glaring need that I felt like we need to fix in order to win this weekend, and it didn't happen. Also, through the game, we had 2 people foul out towards the end of the game with Dennis. It was 7 turnovers, I want to say, late in the game that really switched it. We were up by, I think at the most, it was 21 points. And for us to give up a lead like that towards the end of the game in crucial point against probably our most bitter rival, that was heartbreaking to say the least. And then for us to not only lose that game close, but also lose to the girls like that, it was just something that it's hard to like bounce back from. They have a full week, so it may loom. I just don't want this loss to become 2, 3, 4 losses. Yeah. And that's the biggest thing, because the same way the month of January was stacked where we have games, we play the same games opposite of wherever we play. So now we have to go to Grambling, go to Jackson State. So we'll see if these trips start to build up on their body or if they're able to bounce back from it.
I don't think that's going to be a tough, that much of a problem though, going to the away games, because Grambling, they were predicted to be number 1.
And we beat them.
Yeah, we blew them out.
Yeah.
So it's really TSU that we have to worry about.
But it's whenever the thing about seasons is flows. Like whenever you're in a rhythm, it doesn't matter. That's why I tell you, like, even when games I felt like we weren't getting what we needed to, we were still winning them. That's because we were just in a rhythm. Like, they knew at the end of the day, like, we're better than this team, we're going to win. Now, when you lose a game like that, where you had a monstrous lead, it's just like, what do you do? Like, do you still have the same confidence, which I hope they do, because we had players that scored that we hadn't been looking for. Like, 23 had 20 points in the first half. Chance had 15. Like, Chance shots was finally falling. Like, we haven't scored 90 all season. So for, like, not consistently. So for us to do this in conference play against probably one of the best teams who's beaten teams such as Baylor, Oregon, things like that, and for you to be into it with them having their big man back, the 7'2" dude who missed the first game because I think he was having a kid. But for us to come back and be able to for us to come back and be able to like have a good game, but ultimately we really should have won it, and then for it to be snatched like that, that's something that can linger in a team's head. So we just got to see how they bounce back from that.
All right. On softball now, defending SWAC champions, they came in with a tournament. They had to play Howard, North Carolina Central, Southern, and
Alabama State.
They won the first 3, but came out with a loss, unfortunately, this past Sunday.
Yeah.
But the games they did win blew them out.
Exactly.
7-1, 13-2, and 5-1.
I was talking about it
Easy dubs.
last night there. They said the biggest thing that happened in the Alabama State game, one, that's the team that they played in the SWAC championship.
Right.
So that was
that's their competition.
Yeah,
right
they know that's who they got to fight against in order to win again. So they said by the time they got to Sunday, they were just rotating the lineup, see who could play here, who couldn't, and that was ultimately what bit them in the rear end, to say the least. Like that's what came back to hurt them. So they're just trying to figure out. They're early in the season, it's their first tournament. Although I think they play Texas A&M
that's
coming up
Wednesday.
Game. And then they have another tournament that they have following that. So it's their season is stacked. I was looking at it last night, and they have like multiple tournaments. They go they only go into class Monday, Tuesday, and then they go to an away game.
Back on the road.
Yeah. So they got Corpus Christi. They got to go to UTA, different places like that. So it's just their thing is trying to figure out who their rotation is, trying to figure out everybody that can play, everybody that's not, because it's an influx of talent, but it's also some people that was there last year. So it's just balancing out, seeing what happens. So congratulations on them starting off the season as strong as they did.
Yeah.
They got to see what they have to do against Alabama State too.
That's where you find out where your rhythm is in the tournaments.
Exactly.
You start moving people around early in the season, because those tournaments is where you see where your competition is outside of your conference and stuff. But once you get in the conference play, that's where you need to focus in and
we know like going into the tournament, Alabama State, I think they won previous year before we won it.
Yeah.
So it's like that's our biggest, like I would say that's our standard we're trying to set to. So whenever we see like, okay, we just lost by 8 points, like we need to figure out what's going on. We need to get more hitting. We need to play defensively better. Whatever it is that happened in the game, because obviously we didn't see it. But whatever it is, we need to get that together. So I just say we use that as a stepping stone to see what's going on in our season, and then once we leave there, then figure out what's going on.
All right. Recently was signing day. A lot of love from HBCU kids. I heard we got 7 transfers for us, and then the rest were signees. What do you see? Because you're a football player, ex-football player. What do you see from the new prospects?
I would say the biggest standout is, like you said, it is a multitude of transfers, which is the same thing that happened last year.
And from big schools too, like Purdue.
We got Texas A&M,
Kansas,
Wyoming. We got, and then the rest is like JUCO kids.
Yeah.
Oh, we got Ball State transfer too. So it's just about, it's a balance between depth. I mean, like I would say youth and experience. Now, a couple of these kids, obviously, they didn't play at their previous institution or at their state, but it's just about figuring out who was, we got a Mississippi State receiver too. But yeah, it's just about figuring out who is best for the program. And what I see is like they're starting to it's a New Orleans influence through and through, because our head coach is from New Orleans. Most of our coaches is from Louisiana, so it's like they feel like, I guess, going back home will help them get the team that they want to build around. So that's part of it. But also you see what they're looking for is like big.
As far as talent wise.
Yeah, it's like big, explosive, like either one or two things. Either they're gonna be massive or they're gonna be just athletic. So that's one of the two things. So that's why like our JUCO tackles, they real big kids, but they're not like, they tall, they're not real built. And then the other, like our skills is all just, it's about speed and athleticism. We also signed a kid that apparently had Clemson offers or something. So somebody that had Power 5 offers, he elected us. And then things like that, we signed, like I want to say 4 or 5 offensive linemen. So you can see what I talked about is us needing depth. We need depth as far as for a linebacking crew to come in, because we lost, I would say 4 out of our 5 linebackers. So they assess their needs, and I feel like they sign the players that they feel like will fill those needs. So I'm looking forward to spring ball.
Me too. Coming back, we're going to touch more on the HBCUs and college football. We've got a multitude of trades. We got the NFL, a new league coming out. NFL got some competition. We'll be right back from the Sports Zone.
Traditions are not made overnight. They are created through a legacy of excellence and a commitment to something much greater. For more than 135 years, Prairie View A&M University University has provided students with a strong academic foundation, a unique college experience, and the opportunity to make their mark on the world. This is a place where friendships are formed, discoveries are made, and dreams are realized. This is Prairie View A&M University, our tradition, your opportunity.
Welcome back to the Panther Sports Zone. We're gonna get into NBA. What?
We still going through the HBCU news.
HBCUs?
Yeah.
All right, we in HBCU news.
The girl from Grambling, she got a second quadruple double.
Really?
Yes, she played
WNBA first round already.
It is crazy because her quadruple double, like, you know when Akeem Olajuwon gets it, his is blocks.
Yeah.
Hers is steals. So it's like, that is insane. But yeah, she got a second quadruple double. Also, like, as far as recruiting news, we was talking about, I think it was a kid that signed to Southern. He had an LSU offer. That was a big thing.
Yeah.
So
we're definitely getting more recognition. It seems like a lot of the people who are around HBCUs, they're definitely signing to HBCUs instead of just taking the bigger schools, because you never know. You may not even play at like a school like LSU or Alabama.
It's no point in sitting on a bench 2 or 3 years and then realizing, hey, I need to go to an HBCU, whether you can have 4 full years of film, and probably out of those years, you're going to end up playing a Power 5 school just because that's how things work. Like last year, Southern, they played TCU. This upcoming year, we play Houston. So it's like, you're going to find those games and if you stand out within those games, like,
you're going to get more attention, you're going to get more recognition, more people are going to want to come here.
It's going to come. These people are paid to be scouts. Like, they're paid to come and find gems. Like, we have Chester Rogers, who plays with the Colts. He went to Grambling. They have another receiver, Williams, that plays for the Cardinals. The defensive rookie of the year went to South Carolina State University, which is in the MEAC. So the HBCU brand is building as a whole. You got Tariq Cohen, who's balling in Chicago. It's all about, like, as long as you play good enough, they'll come find you.
Right.
And that's the biggest thing I feel like is coming, like, with the 3 stars. As long as we continue to get 2 and 3 stars, I feel like eventually the 4 and 5 will come. Just because people are gonna want to, like, come back to their roots and, like, change the program and put it back on a pedestal that it should be, rightfully so. I feel like we're in the right direction. We definitely got some of us got the facilities for it. And I feel like that's the biggest part. If every HBCU looked like PV, it would be totally different. Like, we have rightfully, if not number one, top 3 FCS facility, and even we're better than some FBS schools. So it's just about every school looking like that, because if we remember at the beginning of this decade, Grambling players set out because they didn't like their facilities. When we go to places all in Mississippi, these schools don't really have the money, like the backing that PV does. So it's not up to par with what it needs to be. So that's the biggest issue, I would say, is just the look of it all. But once you change that, you could change the stigma around it, you could change the thought, and ultimately get the players in that you want to.
Now it's time for NBA.
Yeah, we can talk about it.
All right, now for NBA, we have multitude of trades this past week. Iman Shumpert going to the Rockets for Brandon Knight.
How you feel about that?
It was I like Brandon Knight. Duke of hoop. Iman Shumpert, he did all right in his first game against the Thunder. Still blew a lead. It don't really matter who they get at this point.
How much were y'all winning by? I mean, not y'all, but how much?
The
they were
Rockets,
winning by at least 20, right?
Yeah. Then
and
they came back. Paul George went stupid crazy.
Dumb. Okay, but yeah, that's a trade that's just under the.
They don't really have a complete team.
But that trade doesn't do anything for them besides give them somebody lanky.
I mean, Iman Shumpert, he's a good defensive player.
Yeah, it's gonna help as far as guarding somebody against the Warriors because nobody else plays defense.
But I don't think he can stop anybody on the Warriors.
Exactly. So he's not at that prime. Now, if we talking 2015 Shump and before, then he'll be able to give you more defensive prowess, but not now. But that's not even it. We talking about trades and you're going to bring up Iman Shumpert? Yeah. That's what you wanted to do?
I mean, we might get Tiana Taylor in a couple games and you might catch her going around. What's up? Anyway, Jabari Parker is going to the Wizards. John Wall got hurt. He's out for the rest of the year, it seems like, with a shoulder injury. In trade for Otto Porter, who's going to the Bucks.
That's a lanky lineup.
Who? Oh, the Bucks?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, they're going to do some damage. I ain't going to lie to you. You got Eric Bledsoe at the 1. I forgot that dude, Chris Middleton at the 2. Giannis obviously at the 3.
Yeah.
Might be MVP. I don't know. I give it to James Harden.
I'm
He
giving
earned it.
No,
You giving it to Giannis?
no, I'm giving it to
LeBron?
if PG keep playing like the way he playing.
Heck no.
Yes,
No.
yes.
No.
Why? Russ is letting him flourish.
Okay, he's not as good as Harden though.
Oh my God. The same streak Harden went on in the December, January with the like 10, 40 games. PG is doing that, and he actually plays defense. He plays both sides of the.
Paul George is definitely not putting up triple doubles and stuff.
Did I say 40 or did I say
He's
triple
putting
doubles?
up like 20,
He,
23, 22.
I'm gonna show you the tweet.
I already showed you.
All right.
Pull it up.
I'm not pulling it out right now, but I got you. We're gonna talk about it Wednesday.
All right. But yeah, Jabari Parker, he's back in. Well, he's not back, but he's in Washington right now. I definitely think this is gonna be like a new beginning for him. He was
He hasn't
injured.
had 3 new beginnings.
Not really. He was in
went to
Chicago for
Chicago.
like a short amount of time.
Okay.
Got hurt. Now he's in
He's just got
Washington with Bradley Beal. Yeah, that's about it.
The worst. Let's talk
Bradley
about the
Beal?
most interesting. Yeah. Let's
Bradley
talk about
Beal is cold.
Oh my God.
He's not.
They have. Did you expect the Wizards to do this?
What, fluke?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
They don't play well.
And Bradley Beal's
Beal
been
don't
there
play
how
well.
long?
I don't know, for like 8 years or
My
something
point
like that.
exactly.
But that's not Bradley Beal's fault.
Whose fault is it? You gonna blame
The
John?
team.
Okay.
I blame the team. John Wall, he's definitely on
You think he's on chopping block, a decline?
he's on a free agent block.
He's lost his athleticism, especially if he
Yeah.
really tore his
You
Achilles.
see
in
how
his
big
house?
he got?
Yeah.
Bro got fat. He ain't put in no type of work on the offseason.
Okay, you talking about the boring trades. What do you think about Porzingis and Dennis Smith? Because you talk
They
about
got-
trades,
they got-
nobody cares
they got,
about. You ain't even talk about Tobias.
No, we was getting to it. They got Tim Hardaway, but I don't know who you're gonna replace for Dennis Smith Jr. though. None of those guards that they got is on the same athletic ability
But
or
they
overall
don't-
better.
Do the Mavs play that type of offense? Especially when they had Luka in.
I mean,
that's
Dennis
the
Smith and
distinction.
Luka work well together.
They do on the court, but the reason he got shipped out is because they was arguing all the time over who gets the ball, who's running the show.
I
things
mean,
like
Luka
that.
not a star yet, but I see what you're saying though.
But you know what I'm
Yeah,
like? It's
teams talk
ego.
about that
It's
chemistry
ego
and
like
stuff.
in there,
Yeah.
and they're both young. They both want to like implant their thought because honestly, we was only watching the Mavericks last year to see Dennis Smith do a crazy dunk or do
Yeah.
this and that. So whenever Luka came in and Luka became the darling in Dallas, like, what do you do? So that's really what happened. But I want to see one is Porzingis going to stay healthy because he hasn't played 75 games in a season ever.
But when he healthy, he cold.
He is, yeah.
He's top 10 player in the league. Come on, bro. He could shoot. He could pass.
Does he defend? Yeah, he don't.
It don't matter.
Oh my
He's
God,
getting buckets.
Davis. Okay.
Imagine Luka, a healthy Porzingis. Bro, who else do they have?
They got rid of
Wesley
DeAndre
Matthews
Jordan.
too. Oh yeah.
Did you just? And then they traded the disrespect. They traded Harrison Barnes in the middle of a game.
Harrison. Oh, I ain't gonna lie, that was messed up.
What?
He may not be doing good, but
In the middle of a game.
yeah, that's messed up. And then LeBron come out and talk about the whole trade situation.
I don't. You know how I feel about LeBron.
Yeah, that's an off-camera topic.
Yeah. So we can actually get into it
Yeah.
because you tell your franchise to offer all, let's say, the 4 young stars you have, which is Kuz, Josh Hart, Brandon Ingram, and
Lonzo.
Yeah, Lonzo. Then you offer Rondo and Beasley. Then you offer 2 first-round picks.
Right. For AD.
Well, you're gonna get AD eventually because he just bought a $23 million house in California.
Yeah.
So he coming to California regardless. Why would you put Why would you put your team in that predicament anyway? And then in the following game, y'all get blew out by 40 points, and you want to sit 3 seats down, but you're gonna tell me he's the best.
Yeah.
He's the best leader in the NBA and turns players who are terrible into champions. And you're gonna tell me how he
I
carries
didn't say
his
that,
team in
so
that.
that ain't got nothing to do
No,
with
I get
me.
you, but I'm
Yeah.
just saying, like, that's the theme, that's the
Yeah.
image the media creates is that
I mean, it was true when he was in Cleveland.
he was a terrible leader then too. He
Not really.
the same way he got everybody out in Cleveland, everybody they brought him. like Isaiah and all of those, like how he traded everybody at half. He was trying to do the same thing, but this is the Lakers. This is a brand that's beyond LeBron. Like, it's bigger than Kobe. Like, all of them. Like, they made up the brand, but the Lakers can stand on their own. The arena still gets sold out when they was 20 and 62. That arena was still getting sold out. Like, celebrities still gonna go there. So he can't never see himself as bigger than the Lakers because that's like the gold standard for the league outside of Boston.
But if we get Anthony Davis, that means we can't get Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson's going to be a free agent. And DeMarcus Cousins is actually leaving the Warriors after this season.
Because he's not going to sign another.
Yeah, he already said
I
it.
don't blame him. But he's going to get his ring. If he leaves, I don't think Klay is leaving.
Who?
I think Draymond's going to leave before Klay.
Why?
Draymond is outcast. And definitely if they want to keep KD, Draymond has to go.
I mean, Draymond not getting paid like that anyways.
So it's not going to be a loss.
He not worth all that.
He's not.
So,
he doesn't score enough.
Yeah, but he's a good defensive player.
He brings everything you can't see on a stat sheet is what he brings.
Yeah. And Carmelo is going to the Bulls now.
Don't tell me no news about Carmelo. He's been on 72 teams in 3 days.
Dude is washed up. You think it's time for him to retire?
I wouldn't say retire, but he doesn't want to accept the role that he has where he comes off the bench and scores 10 to 12.
I'd say retire.
And
He's not producing.
It's tough because
I just want to get in the ring.
you got to
on the
think
bench.
like when we was growing up, like post Allen Iverson era, he was everything that we wanted him to be. Like he was just a scorer. He gonna get you 30 anytime he wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
But he never fully cultivated his game and was able to do something like he just the same way we talk about LeBron putting franchise into a hole. He put the Knicks franchise into a hole when he wanted to get there.
Yeah.
And it's things like that. Like, yeah, you give superstars what they want, but at a point, you can't let it cost your franchise. And he definitely cost the Knicks the future.
That's true. All right, going into the AAF, not the NFL.
American
Alliance of American Football was just made its debut. Started off at it got 2.9 million viewers in the first couple games. I think this is going to be a good opportunity for former NFL players, people who are trying to make it big time, not just NFL. You got the CFL now you got this. Even people like Trent Richardson are there, scored 2 touchdowns. I think that's good.
My biggest takeaway from there was just the fact of it looking, I would say, organized.
Yeah, it looked like it was the NFL to a certain extent.
To an extent.
Yeah.
Starter jerseys, questionable. Starter gloves was absolutely god-awful. Like, as somebody who, you could watch a game and you probably just look like, okay, these colors nice.
Yeah.
That's what you think. Like, that's what the normal fans think. I'm looking at what gloves are they wearing, what visors they got on, what cleats is they, like, I'm analyzing all of that just because, like, that's a part of, like, what I do. Like,
Yeah.
if you see me on game day, you know how I feel. Like, I wear sleeves, gloves, all of that. So I'm looking on there, and I can't take anybody seriously who has on starter gloves in 2019. Like, it's not something that clicks in my head. Like, that's just not happening. But as far as for the product they put on the field, just the fact of the pure, like finally we seen tackling for the first time in like 4 years. Like whenever
They was hidden.
like you could hear it. Like it didn't matter like what was going on. It didn't care if there was a quarterback. Nothing was happening. Like so, because I watched the San Antonio-San Diego game. That's the game I had watched Saturday, and the little quarterback. His name is like Berchavici or something weird. My thing is, it's a lot of players that didn't make it in the NFL that I feel like is not in this league, and I don't know if they're waiting on the XFL, if they're going to Canada. I think they just want to see how well this league is going to work. And you got to think with somebody like Bill Polian, Hines Ward, players like Hines Ward, Jared Allen, Justin Tuck, these are people who are part of these franchises. Michael Vick is the offensive coordinator for one of the teams. All 8 of the coaches have NFL experience. This is a quality league. Like they didn't just make this up. Like they set this date. I would want to say 2-3 years ago. Like we're gonna start here. We're gonna do this specifically knowing like there's a need for football from February all the way until August, and they got this season. And then following that, in the summer they had the flag football league. So it's all coming together. But I just like the way the quality of product on the field. It didn't diminish. Like you could still see football. Now, granted, my biggest issue was the offensive line play because it was a lot of like it just wasn't good.
Yeah.
except for in the Birmingham game, like you explained, Trent Richardson had 2 touchdowns. But other parts of it, it's like, yeah, like it's just like we can see why y'all didn't make it in the NFL.
Especially Hattenberg or whatever.
Hackenberg is terrible.
Garbage.
Do you know how bad you have to be a second-round pick and not play a down in the NFL? Like, do you know how, like, that's terrible, Davis. Like, not many people go in the second round. And for you to, they wasted that pick and they was like, you're so bad.
Oh, wait, he was the second round in the
To the
AA?
Jets, no. To the Jets, the New York Jets.
I mean, that's the Jets, though.
It doesn't matter. Like, a second-round pick and you don't play an NFL down. Do you know how bad he had to be doing in practice?
Yeah. Because you behind Mark Sanchez the whole time. And,
so it ain't like your starting quarterback is giving you any, like, you have this much leash for you to be able to, like, all you got to do is make 4 plays in practice and you good.
They did have Geno Smith, though.
Listen to the 2 quarterbacks you just named.
He was decent.
Listen to the 2 quarterbacks
He
you
was
just
decent.
named.
I ain't going to.
Mark Sanchez and Geno Smith.
Geno Smith, he held his ground.
We're not talking about West Virginia Geno Smith.
Nah, I know.
We're talking about
he held his
New
ground.
York Jets Geno
I'm not
Smith.
saying he did anything spectacular.
He's a solid backup quarterback. Don't take that away from him. But you couldn't beat out either one of them as a second-round pick. And now you want me to watch you in the AF? Not happening.
Might as well sign me.
Get cut.
I need to check.
What?
For real.
I'm gonna go put my pads back on.
That's all we got, though. But congratulations to Cordero for getting some PT in the Super Bowl.
He got 1 offensive play. He played mostly special teams.
Hey, that's all we need, though. We just need a look. Shout out to PV. Anyways, basketball, Jackson State coming up. Baseball, softball. Softball's at A&M.
On Wednesday at 4.
Ain't nothing but a drive. I don't know if y'all gonna make that, though. But, yeah, we'll see y'all Wednesday. I'm David Smith.
I'm Zach Collins.